My brother and sister were handed fancy gifts, while I was given body wash. That's when I'd had enough. I packed my things, cut off the financial support, and watched everything around them unravel quickly. I'm a 27-year-old woman who, until recently, lived at home with my parents. I have two younger siblings, Ethan and Lila. Being the oldest, I was the first one to get a job. For a long stretch, it was just my dad and me keeping the household afloat. My mom wasn't working. She was either too sick or just plain worn out. But as time went on, it became clearer to me that her situation was something she chose. Most days, she parked herself on the couch, binge-watching TV and overeating instead of even trying to look for a job. After a while, I stopped trying to talk her into changing. Ethan and Lila did get jobs after they finished school, but neither of them managed to keep one for long. My brother got caught up in some criminal stuff, and my sister always pointed to her mental health as the reason she couldn't work. Whatever brief relief we felt from their paychecks didn't last. I ended up taking on more hours at my job, fully aware that I couldn't depend on them. I pushed myself hard and steadily climbed the ladder at work. Now I earn more than most people my age. Folks tell me all the time how impressive that is, but honestly, I feel like a fraud. Looking back, I can't name one thing I've done just for myself. 75% of what I make goes straight into the household bills, and I barely get by on the rest. It's always something, unexpected bills popping up right when I think I'm finally in the clear. I work so much that I'm barely ever home, and when I do come back, it's chaos. Sure, I get paid at my job, but there's no paycheck for the housework I have to do: laundry, dishes, grocery runs, the whole 9 yards. My mom and sister? They do practically nothing. Mom just lounges in front of the TV all day, and Lila holes up in her room until it's time to party or stir up drama. I can't lean on my dad or brother either. They're still stuck in old school thinking about gender roles. That's the family I come from. And while I've never agreed with how things are done, I felt like I had no say as long as I was living under their roof. Anytime I tried to speak up, Mom would hit me with the same line: "If you don't like it, move out." She knows I can't afford a place of my own while still footing their bills. Plus, she seems convinced that I'm too soft-hearted to leave them behind, which she might be right about. But honestly, none of that is why I'm writing this. It's not even the main reason I'm so angry. What really set me off is how my parents have, once again, made it painfully obvious who their favorites are. My birthday was 2 days ago. And my gift? A bottle of body wash. That's it. Now, I get it might sound like I'm being ungrateful, but just last month, Lila had this over-the-top surprise party. We couldn't afford it, but it still happened. I ended up picking up extra consulting gigs just to help cover the costs. I said no at first, but my dad swore up and down he had it covered. Afterward, he pulled me aside with this sob story about running the numbers wrong and owing money to some dangerous people. Said he was scared for all of us. And like a fool, I stepped in to fix it. What kills me is how often this kind of thing happens. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas or someone's birthday. My siblings always get spoiled, and I get whatever's left over. This year, Ethan got a brand new game console, and Lila was treated to a spa day at one of the most expensive places in town. Me? I got body wash. After everything I do for this family, that's all I'm worth? I don't know what it was about this time, but it really got to me. I couldn't just brush it off like I usually do. Normally, I'd find a way to excuse it. I'd convince myself they didn't mean it, that deep down they did care about me. But this time, that body wash felt like the final insult. I snapped. Couldn't hold it in. My chest tightened, and I felt this lump in my throat before the anger boiled over. I straight up asked them why I couldn't have the same kind of celebration Ethan and Lila did. I didn't even get a real cake, just body wash. My dad lost it and accused me of being ungrateful, throwing our financial situation in my face. That's when I started laughing, because how could he say that with a straight face? He went into debt for Lila's birthday, but couldn't scrounge up more than $20 for mine. I was sick of being treated like an afterthought. Right then, I asked them if I was adopted, because honestly, that would make more sense than the way they treat me. I bust my butt at work, take care of things at home, and this is the thanks I get? My mom started crying and told me she hated when I had these episodes. So let me get this straight, her emotions are valid, but mine make me the problem? That's the message I took from it. She goes through a dozen moods a day and expects us to deal with it, but if I raise my voice over something real, I'm being dramatic? Okay, sure. I didn't feel like arguing anymore. I just went to my room. They called out to me later, but I acted like I was asleep. Really, I was just sitting there in silence, stewing in how unhappy I felt. Even though I'm constantly working and keeping myself busy, sleep never comes easy. My mind keeps circling back to one thought. I'm just sad. Really sad. People my age are out there buying their first cars, moving into their own places, getting married. I see them at work, and some of them make less than I do. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't jealous. I might be ahead in my career, but I'm falling behind in life. Sometimes it feels like I don't even know who I am or why I'm here. All I do is work, take care of people who don't appreciate it, and repeat. That's been my identity for so long, I didn't even notice how much I was being used. But that birthday gift, that stupid body wash, really opened my eyes. Now I see it clearly. I don't want this to be my life forever. Something has to change. I've been stuck in this loop, going nowhere. I want to break free, to find meaning, to figure out who I am beyond just being the reliable one. Update 1. I actually did it. 2 months after writing this, I moved out. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that I actually moved out, just 2 months after the whole birthday mess. My apartment's small and pretty bare, but you know what? It's mine. The very first thing I did after unpacking? I crawled into bed and just lay there for hours, no one calling me, no one asking me to fix something. It was peaceful in a way I didn't know was possible. It felt strange at first. Who knew lying in bed doing absolutely nothing could feel so healing? I bet you're wondering how I managed to move out, especially with how much control my family had over me. Well, it wasn't easy, but I made it happen. The first step? I started following their own advice and drew some lines. I cut back my financial contributions, only paying for the bare minimum, enough to keep things afloat, but not enough to keep me stuck. I started saving like crazy, picked up more shifts at work, and quietly set the money aside. Whenever my parents asked about where the extra income was going, I told them it was part of my year-end bonus. I had to lie, but it was the only way to keep them off my back. As soon as I had enough saved for a deposit, I told them I was done and moved into my new place. Once I decided which apartment I wanted, I broke the news to them. That conversation, it wasn't pretty. They acted like I'd betrayed them. Asked me straight up if living with them was really that unbearable. I tried to keep things calm. I told them it wasn't about them exactly, it was about me. I'm getting older and I needed to start building a life on my own. Living under their roof made that impossible. I reminded my mom that she'd always said I should get my own place someday. Of course, she didn't like that. Said I was being sarcastic and ungrateful. Claimed she only ever wanted the best for me, but I just rolled my eyes and moved past it. I knew I wasn't going to win that argument. They didn't take the news well. Not one of them offered to help me move. I ended up turning to 2 co-workers, Monica and Tasha, who were the only people at work I'd confided in about my situation at home. When I told them I was finally moving out, they were over the moon. And when I asked if they could help, they didn't even hesitate. Between the 3 of us, we got everything moved over a few days ago. Now I'm sitting in this quiet, mostly empty apartment, and honestly, I couldn't be more content. I don't have a lot yet, but I'm okay with that. What I do have is mine. I'm excited to start this new chapter, living life on my own terms. Update 2. So, it's been a little over a month since I moved into my place. And let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. But I've never been happier, or at least I was happy until a few hours ago. But I'll get to that. Let me back up a bit and fill you in on everything that's happened this past month. I've been slowly making the apartment feel like home, picking up furniture here and there. I even threw a little housewarming party. Just a small get-together, but it meant the world to me. And now that I've got my evenings back, I've started going out again. I've reconnected with old friends, met new people, and honestly, it feels amazing to finally have a social life. After years of constant stress and last-minute emergencies, it's like I'm finally living for me. On top of all that, I started seeing someone. Tasha introduced us. I never dated before because, frankly, I didn't have the time. My family always had some drama or another that kept me locked in. But now, I live far enough away that they can't just suck me back in. You're probably wondering how things have been with my family. Well, they haven't. Not a single call or message from any of them since I moved out. And as strange as it sounds, their silence kind of threw me off. There were moments when I thought about reaching out, just to check in, but I stopped myself. I've always been the one to make peace after a fight, the one to apologize even when I wasn't wrong. This time, I didn't want to be that person. I want to be treated like an equal, not a doormat. So, I let the silence sit. I assumed we were done, that they had written me off just like I had done to them. That was until this afternoon. I was at work when my phone buzzed, and I saw my mom's name pop up. I was shocked, but answered anyway. The first thing she said? "Where's the check?" I didn't even know what she was talking about. A check? What check? Had she forgotten that I moved out? Or was she pretending like nothing had changed? She went on to ask how I expected them to survive without my help. I told her, plain and simple, that she had 2 other grown, capable children. They've had a whole month to figure things out. What were they doing this entire time? She accused me of being cold and heartless, of not caring about what my siblings are going through. And that's when I lost it. I asked her how I was supposed to feel sorry for a brother who steals and a sister who won't lift a finger. They had the same opportunities one did, they just didn't use them. I told her I wasn't sending money. They'd need to figure it out themselves. Then I hung up. She kept calling over and over. I didn't answer. Eventually, my dad tried calling too. He started yelling at me, trying to guilt-trip me like always, but I didn't let him finish. I hung up on him too. It felt strange, but also empowering. I'd never cut anyone off mid-rant before. But honestly, the last month has been so peaceful. Hearing from them again made me realize just how chaotic my life used to be. And I don't want to go back. I wish they'd stayed quiet. I wish they'd left me alone because now it's clear. I was never really part of that family, not in the way that mattered. They just wanted me around for what I could do for them. But that version of me? She's gone. I was burning myself out just to keep other people afloat. That ends now. I've hit my breaking point. From here on out, I'm focusing on me. I should have done this years ago. They're still trying to guilt me into coming back, but it's not working. Maybe it's because I've finally built up some resistance to their manipulation. Update 3. Honestly, I don't even know what to think anymore. What is wrong with these people? I used to think they were just a little dramatic, but now I'm starting to wonder if they're just unhinged. I knew they were capable of pulling stunts to get what they want, but this is a whole new level. And I'm done being patient. They're about to see a side of me they didn't know existed. It's been 2 days since they started relentlessly hitting me up for money. I've told them, repeatedly, that I'm not helping them anymore. They need to figure it out on their own. I've got my own life now, my own bills. How can they expect me to shoulder their burdens when I finally started standing on my own 2 feet? It's selfish. It's ridiculous. I've been ignoring their calls for the last day, throwing myself into decorating my place instead. And you know what? My apartment's finally starting to feel like home. I look around and see furniture I picked out, things I bought with my own money. For the first time in my life, I have something that's truly mine. But I can't even fully enjoy it because they won't stop harassing me. I managed to replace the things they destroyed, but they still owe me the money the judge ordered them to pay. And while part of me does feel sorry for them, it's not enough to step in again. It is what it is. They made their choices, and now they've got to deal with the fallout. I've got some updates to share, and honestly, things are only getting worse for my family. And just like I've said before, it's all problems they created themselves. They're the kind of people who try to dig themselves out of a hole by grabbing a bigger shovel. I don't know if there's any way back for them, but I do know one thing for sure. I am not the one responsible for getting them out. I've done enough. To start, my dad, who was supposed to pay me back for the damage he and my brother caused to my apartment, never followed through. A lot of people warned me this might happen, and they were right. What makes it worse is that he didn't even try. Not even a fake promise or a delay tactic. Nothing. Just ignored the judge's orders like they didn't apply to him. But the judge wasn't playing games. He made it clear that any failure to pay would land my dad back behind bars. And that's exactly what happened. Not literally over a sneeze, of course, but it might as well have been he didn't pay, and now he's back in jail. I found out a few days ago. Yep, he's serving time again. And the bitter irony? He was the only one in that house actually working. Now that he's gone, I honestly have no idea how my mom is going to manage. Last I heard from someone still in contact with the family, they barely had any food in the house. With my mom's health being what it is, that's a scary thought. But honestly, I feel nothing, just this cold detachment. For years, I was the only one keeping that home from falling apart, financially, emotionally, you name it. They leaned on me so hard I almost collapsed. And now, they're finally feeling the weight for themselves. It gets worse. My mom is completely alone now. Not just because my dad's in jail, but because both of my siblings are locked up too. My brother had already been behind bars for a while, as I mentioned before. But now my sister's joined him. Her so-called business venture ended the exact way everyone but her expected. She got arrested. She started using the stuff she was supposed to be selling. It clouded what little judgment she had left. She got caught red-handed by an undercover officer. Now she's waiting for trial, and it doesn't look good. She doesn't even have a decent lawyer. Can't afford one. She's stuck with a public defender, and I don't want to sound cruel, but I don't see a lot of hope there. As for my mom, I honestly don't know what's going to happen to her now. That house used to be filled with 5 people. Now, it's just her. And she's got no one to lean on. She spent years doing nothing but waiting for others to bring her food, cash, or help. She can hardly leave the house now because of her health. I don't know how she's going to survive. I assume they're still getting food stamps, but we all know that's not enough to get by. Bottom line, the family has completely collapsed. And all I'm left with is my peace. That might sound harsh, but I don't regret walking away. Not one bit. Update 6. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the thing is, it's not really my bad news anymore. It's theirs. I'm just the bystander now. And honestly, I feel relieved that I'm not part of the disaster anymore. To start with the positive, I finally got my money back. It wasn't simple. Like I figured, my dad didn't have the funds. The only reason I got anything was because my mom took out a loan to bail him out. The irony is heavy. He was sitting in jail for contempt of court, and she scrambled to fix it, even though it was his mess. She was desperate to get him out, and that's the only reason I saw a dime. Funny enough, my dad getting out of jail might be the one small win in this whole mess. While that was going on, my mom had been staying with a relative, trying to sort through my dad's legal trouble. She left the house for a long time, and you can guess what happened next. Our old neighborhood was never the safest, and leaving a house vacant was practically an invitation. It got ransacked, completely looted and vandalized. Worse still, people are apparently living there now, squatting inside the place. And from what I was told, some of them might even be old clients of my sister's. That's a nightmare in itself. Even if my parents could get those people out, which I doubt, it wouldn't matter much. The house is probably beyond repair. It hurts to think about it, especially since I spent so much time and effort keeping that place together back when I lived there. But the truth is, it's not my home anymore. It's not under my name, and it's not my responsibility to fix. Whatever's left of it, that's theirs to deal with. Both of my siblings are still serving time. Not much news on that front. What really hits me is how fast everything fell apart after I left. It was already crumbling, I know that, but it's like my leaving was the final push. And maybe that's what it took for me to really see the truth. Thanks for sticking with me through all of this. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more real stories like this one.